name's Will Barker. I work at IDEO London, project and design lead there, and I'm here tonight to talk about what makes IDEO IDEO, so helping break down the culture a bit and just hopefully I can make people leave with a bit more clarity about what goes on behind the closed doors there. There's a couple of interesting stories. I mean, IDEO is a bit of a mad place to work, so I'm going to try and bring that to life a bit. Just being asked to do this talk in general has made me realise a few things that I hadn't in amongst all the stress of project work. So yeah, there's going to be a few work examples, a few ways of working, a few tools that we've used, we're using recently. So yeah, hopefully I'm just going to lay it all out on the table and see what they make of it. Cheers, Sam. Evening. I'm going to do my best to open the doors of IDEO for you a bit. I'm aware that we put ourselves out there in the form of books and a formal website, so hopefully this just breaks that down a bit. I'm going to start by kicking off with two very early memories from my IDEO career 4 years ago. The first, week one of IDEO, Sue Siddle, partner of the London studio, came up to me and a couple of the designers and asked for a video that captured the spirit of London studio at that time for her to share at the Global Partner Committee. Marty Brown, graphic designer, said, "I've got just the idea. It's kind of film noir. It involves a pigeon. She's French, called Stephanie, and she's on a quest to find some new legs." And at that point, I took a bit of a step back, and there's some guys from Samsung in the room. And this is the week after I left Samsung, so you can only imagine how much of a contrast this is. So I took a step back and kind of let Marty run with it. And here's just a little clip.
Bonjour. Je m'appelle Stéphanie. Voici ma ville. J'ai toujours été différente des autres.
Anyway, you get the idea. It's on Vimeo, 6,000 views. So Sue Siddle, the partner, swanned off to San Francisco, little IDEO USB in a pocket, this loaded on it, and I was like, you can't show that. You can't show that. My name is on the credits. I've been here a few days. That's me at the Tate with Stephanie, by the way. And I was left just genuinely, honestly confused at the madness that was going on. Fast forward a couple of months, getting flown out to San Francisco along with 50 of the other new grads from IDEO that year for IDEO 101, which is where you start your network, which is where you get exposed to talks by the Kelly brothers who started the business, powerhouses like Tim Brown in design thinking, awesome week. And then this dude steps up on stage, Dave Webster, very proud Scotsman, 20 years worth of IDEO experience in the Palo Alto office. And he kind of came on day 3 out of the 5, I think it was, first thing in the morning, 9 a.m. There's a few hangovers in the room, and he started sketching this. I could almost reenact it, but he was furiously sketching, talking about the IDEO process. And we've all seen the Venn diagrams online about what the IDEO process involves. And this is what he was sketching, and there was a sleepy face in the room, but there was all of a sudden, due to his passion, and he was presenting with an unbelievable passion. I remember thinking, how can someone at the same company, 20 years, be doing this gig twice a year, talk with this level of passion? And notebooks started getting dragged out of bags. People were scrambling to sketch it, and this is what an IDEO goes through 4 or 5 times a year. The average project at IDEO is 10 weeks. I can't really break it down. I have a look at it every time I start a new project now, and I see something new 4 years on. It's incredibly messy, incredibly confusing. You kind of get dragged through this as a middleweight senior designer by the scruff of your neck, waiting to this point of jump off. That's the point in which you're like one of those old remote control cars which you keep winding back. You've got all of the knowledge, and then it's up to you to start designing from it. So there's an immense amount of pressure at this point from a design point of view. And then you go up through the ranks at IDEO, and I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I'm leading design teams now, and I'm leading 4 or 5 people through this, plus the client. And it's pretty scary. It's pretty scary stuff. So those are my 2 first impressions of IDEO. Fast forward 4 years to a couple of weeks ago, when Ian Hamilton asked me to speak tonight about what makes IDEO IDEO. And the truth is, I don't really know. I can't sum it up in a slide. So those two stories hold certain values that are integral to IDEO. Though people are going through that process on the other side of the world now. I don't think anyone's making a pigeon video, but I think that those are the two fundamental things. But beneath that, the thing that allows you to get through that process, having produced world-class content, having developed your own skills, having mentored others, having delivered a project to a client who's happy with it, are a set of values. And we've talked about this in the break, but it's a culture at IDEO, and these values are what I feel makes IDEO IDEO, and we hold each other accountable for these, and we expect that each other live and breathe these through projects. Some of them might feel quite general. Be optimistic, for example. Sure, that's quite Californian, blah, 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 blah. But clients expect us to be optimistic about their business, even when they're not. When they've completely run out of optimism, they don't know what to do themselves. So that's a big one, because it sounds quite general. There's an IDEO take on all of these. Take ownership, for example. Sure, everyone takes ownership in their jobs if they're doing it well enough. And the IDEO spin on that is, when you're not on a project, the transparency for the profit and loss of each studio is incredible, and you feel part of if the particular studio isn't doing well. So you take ownership from a business development point of view. You start putting design-based points of view together, putting them out in the world, trying to get new business on behalf of the studio. So there's IDEO slants on all of these. Collaborate is a massive one. The project I'm on at the minute, the previous project I was on, was working with an ex-NASA scientist, an anthropologist, and a strategist. And collaborating with those requires a certain set of skills and creative behaviours. And the one I want to focus on, the one I pride myself in, being a product designer, is the talk less, do more one in the bottom right. So just going to break down what that means to you. And sometimes in sticky processes, you need to stop talking, stop over-intellectualizing, let me spit it out, and get building. And the building looks like this at IDEO. There's coding's taken over, it's part of the national curriculum now. I'm part of a coding course that I don't quite understand, being honest. I don't know what to do with it, but the materials, skills, and processes I use, and I will always use at IDEO, and are still valuable to the team around me and the clients in front of me, are foam core mock-ups of steering wheels. You can churn 20 or 30 of those out in a day. Cheers, Sammy. Thank you. I'm drying up here. Not in a good way. And environments for Ray-Ban stores. It's incredible how many clients are used to bullet points as deliverables. And then the previous consultancies I've been at, we deliver visuals. Now we try and deliver experiences for our clients, which gain an incredible amount of internal buy-in. Back to the point of the uni lads, how do you get ideas up the tree? Digital prototyping is expected of every single person at IDEO, regardless of the fidelity. This is something quite elegant. This is a smart table designed for the future kitchen up for IKEA. We're using just simple techniques like Keynote with a projection, and just trying to get the concept across. Takes a couple of days to mock up something like this to really get the client to buy into the idea. They have to feel it and experience it. On the lower end of the spectrum, which is where I work for digital prototyping, this kind of solution works very well.
Cue music. So this is possible dance moves for Monster Maker. So music starts, and I'm the player, so I come in and I touch the monster, and he gives me a special dance move. I go and touch again, and he does a different one. And it can go for as long as I want, and he has a few signature moves. And when I've had enough and I'm done dancing, I touch the back button, it pauses, and the music stops. Monster Maker.
Cool.
That's all I can. Come on, Sonic.
Wow.
Get in there,
So there literally is no excuse to get to roll at your sleeves, get your hand dirty. There is thousands of ways to communicate your idea above and beyond a Post-it note. This going back to, sorry to jump around a bit, but the values that we saw on screen a minute ago, this is beyond, this is us in a warehouse in Atlanta building out a hotel experience where the client didn't provide air conditioning, 45-degree heat for a week, building out this concept. And it's important to point out we weren't just testing space. In a hotel experience, you've got 4 levers to play with: service, space, food and beverage, and technology. And these are part, believe it or not, from this GoPro view of this experience that we brought stakeholders through. We gathered data around, and we used it to launch into a pilot, which we've just launched last month at High Fidelity across America. So this is a making on a grand scale. And they're all examples of making client-facing prototyping and talking less and doing more. Internally, we've got a great culture of making in the London studio in particular. 24-hour makeathons around London-based challenges, so like making cycling safer. We collaborate with university students, other designers for 24 hours, literally up 24 hours. You start with a provocation and you end up with this type of hack on the back of a bike seat, which then goes onto Kickstarter and gets funded. Nerd Nights are bi-monthly. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's a platform for every IDEO to showcase their skills, whether it's watercolouring or, in this case, mechatronics, so digital farming, using mechanical and digital engineering to cultivate a farm. And this was last week at IDEO. So it's that culture and it's those values that allow us. These are projects examples I'm going to show you from the IDEO London studio at the minute that allow us to deliver more than just products, which is what we used to be known for. In Nova schools in South America, for example, we've designed the curriculum, the space, the tools that the kids use, the training and retention of all the teachers, including a lovely little product design like this, for example, which gives me my kicks every now and then. The IKEA Future Kitchens is a big provocation at the Milan Furniture Fair last year. That was a massive collaboration with Lund University. And then guest experience after guest experience we're still working on. So those conversations, how do you deliver innovation in an experiential point of view, relies purely on talking less and doing more, and all those other values that I showed you. And looking forward, we're going after big, systemic, gnarly challenges that will affect, without a shadow of a doubt, every single person in this room. Things like positive aging, the future mobility, and the end-of-life experience. And I mean, some could argue that we're chasing these because we've got IDEO on the door, and I strongly disagree. The reason why we're chasing them, from my point of view, is that we feel confident enough that we've got a culture to do that, a culture which is based on these values that we expect of each other, and that keeps us turning up at work every single day with fire in our bellies, just like Dave Webster, the angry Scotsman at the start of the presentation. So that's why I think Dave Webster is still as passionate as he is now, 20 years on. It's because these are integral to how we work, how we look after each other, how we crack the toughest challenges out there, and not forgetting a little bit of madness as well. So thank you very much.